Very much. All right, if you ever bought or sold a home, you know there's a lot to that process, especially when it gets down to the final stages of the sale.
That's right. Here to talk us through all of it is Mike Sposato with Carolina Realty Advisors. Mike, good morning. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, good morning, guys.
All right, one of the biggest moments during the sale or purchase of a home is the home inspection process. It can be very stressful. This is when inspectors alert buyers to the potential problems that the home might have or some repairs that need to be made. You say that in your experience, this is the point where buyers can get cold feet and get really kind of freaked out.
Yeah, I mean, this is the fun part. Every time that we go to do the home inspection, the interesting thing is that home inspectors have a legal responsibility to alert buyers to all the little things that could potentially be wrong with a home, but it seems like as a realtor, they overdo it so much so that they have a knack for scaring buyers, specifically first-time buyers, but the list of repairs that they come back with is overwhelming. So that's one thing that kind of creates the fun. And secondarily, the other thing is that even though the home inspector may know exactly what's wrong and know how to fix it, legally what they do is they push off the liability and they say, well, something might be wrong with your air conditioning. I recommend you go get a licensed air conditioning contractor who can come in and really tell you what's wrong. And so then now the buyer has to go out and hire, like several different, companies that come out and do further inspections for them. It just adds to the angst when someone's trying to buy a home.
So your role as a real estate professional, how do you work with buyers and help them through that process? I mean, I would imagine some of it is almost like you're being a therapist. You got to talk them kind of down from being so nervous about the whole thing and assure them that a lot of this is really normal.
Right. So I usually have an upfront conversation with all my buyers and say, listen, when you go to the home inspection, just be prepared that the inspector is going to kind of flex their knowledge and they're going to point out all these things, but don't get scared because it's normal for them to do that, okay? So once you have the inspection report back, let's get together so I can consult with you in order to put together a list of all the items that you'd want to have repaired before we close. And I try to make it reasonable because sometimes they'll come out with some of the craziest things that they want to have fixed that, I mean, all of us could fix them ourselves with a screwdriver. And so instead of putting all that in there, we try to just focus on what's really important.
So now you've negotiated you got the repairs done. You know what needs to happen. Now, from a buyer's perspective, you said writing the list out. How closely do you walk them through that, going through all the little details about what they really need and what they don't need?
It all depends on the situation. If it's a condo where there's very little, I kind of let them run with it at first. On the other hand, if it's an older home in an older neighborhood, then we really have to get involved because there's so many moving parts that you just don't want to have somebody, really get overwhelmed because it's stressful. It really is.
Let's go to the seller side now, Mike. How do sellers handle the inspection and repair process?
Well, so right now the market's really, really hot. In fact, most of the properties I'm listing, I'm getting under contract within a couple days, and it's not unusual for me to put a property on the market and have 8, 10, 12 showings within the first day or two. And that much activity is overwhelming for a seller, and I think it creates a false sense of confidence. So they get that many showings, they get sometimes multiple offers, they feel great about their whole situation in their house, and then the next thing you know, here comes the repair request, and they're sometimes like, I'm not fixing anything because I've got so many other people who want to buy my house that I'll just sell to one of them, which what we can't really do that because once we have that list of repairs, now we legally have to disclose to any potential buyer if this doesn't work out that, listen, we found out this is wrong and this is wrong. It's part of North Carolina real estate law. So to answer your question, I have to again be a therapist and talk to people because I've had situations where people try to sell a home for let's say $250,000 and have a very small list of repairs that might be $500 to $700, and they just put their feet down and like, I'm not fixing anything, and you have to kind of it's exercise and patience and just working with people and getting them to really understand you look at the big picture here, what you're doing.
That's right. That's why you need a real estate professional like Mike. He can guide you through the home buying and selling process so that you can sleep at night and not be so stressed. You can call Mike at Carolina Realty Advisors. The number is 704-619-7070. Again, 704-619-7070, or visit realestatecharlottenc.com, realestatecharlottenc.com. Mike, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.